righty. All right. We are live. First of all, I mean, I can start saying this because it'll be on the feed in a second. Korey, I appreciate you doing this, man. This ain't your first rodeo when it comes to giving your testimony and story, which, definitely can help. Everybody's got a powerful story, man. And, there's some that I've met that's never given them publicly or live or anything like that before. They're not easy. I'm sure it's gotten easier with you over the years. But I just wanted to personally thank you and looking forward to doing this. And you are, where are you at? Where are you at in Texas? Houston or Dallas?
Oh no, I'm Louisiana border as far south as you can go. So I'm
Like
way
down
out
by
there.
past Laredo?
Oh no. I'm at the you ever heard of Beaumont, Texas?
Yeah.
I'm 30 miles from Beaumont. I'm on the border of
Oh,
Texas and
okay.
Louisiana.
Well, my
So
dad was from Laredo. He lived in Laredo, Texas, for many years. I didn't know how far that was from there.
we're far from there. But
You
yeah,
seen a
it's
lot of?
as far southeast Texas as you can go.
Oh, okay. You
Yeah,
see a lot of Well, how's all the migrants? Like you've seen a lot of that down around that area last year.
I mean, we got a lot of immigrants down here. But I mean, it is
You
what it
ain't
is.
seen it is what it is. They ain't had like any confrontations or nothing like that.
No, they're pretty cool. They stay themselves pretty much. I mean, they'll come down here. I mean, they actually got it. They know what they're doing. They'll come down here. I'm serious. They'll
I
come down
believe
here and
you.
get a nice big old house and have 10, 15 people living in there and all paying rent. So they all pay about $30 a month in rent, and they all drive brand new $80,000 trucks and all that. Like, dang, man, like, I need to do that.
You just go down and come back in.
We need to
Oh man.
pile up people in here to pay rent and we'll be all right.
Well, that's could be changing quite a bit now.
Oh,
So
man.
got another president in there that really cares for the American citizens a little bit more, but whatever.
Well,
Everybody's going to be upset about something, so I just say live and let live. But
right.
got
I
got to
heard.
protect those.
I heard now he's trying to change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Yeah, he's doing that. It's ours. It's just a Gulf anyway. They don't need
It's
it.
water. It's good.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're live on the GBR feed, so I just want to say good evening or good late afternoon, everybody. In GBR. I'm with Korey Burris this evening. He's going to be sharing his testimony, his story with us, his transformation, God moment, all that stuff in between. I want to say right at the beginning, the disclosure announcement that we're going to be talking about some pretty intense and powerful moments. This is Korey's story, so there's no reason in the world why he should edit any of it or cancel it. Any of it. It's his story. He's going to speak it the way he wants to. But things can get pretty intense and deep and stuff like that. We're not intending to upset anybody or put anybody in a foul mood or whatnot like that. Some of the things we're going to be talking about, will be hard hitting and stuff. So if anybody gets a little bit too emotional, this, and that, and the other, and you have to leave the live, like please reach out to somebody in the feed and let them know that something's upset you, something's related to you. You've related to something a little bit, too strongly, and somebody will reach out to you and talk to you about that because we definitely, I'm not speaking for Korey, but we don't want to do these at the expense of like really upsetting somebody, But some of the things you're going to hear are definitely truthful and like I said, pretty intense. So I just wanted to let everybody know that ahead of time. But Korey, thank you very much for doing this, man. I came across your story. I seen a post. Actually, it was my wife about a month or so ago. Read the post. It was your own words. It was kind of like basically, a condensed version of your testimony. And I was like, wow, that's, I was drawn to that, and reached out to you and was, putting this together. And I'm just glad you've agreed to do it. And like you said, this isn't your first time, so you're used to giving these, and feel somewhat obligated. So I appreciate that you're taking the time to do it with me and GBR. So welcome,
Yeah,
and
my
if you
pleasure.
don't mind, I'll pray us in, and then we'll get started. Oh
Yeah,
man,
absolutely.
Heavenly Father, thank you for having me here with Brother Korey as he's going to share his story, Lord, his testimony, which you know all about, Lord. You know everything he was going through and everything you pulled him through, Lord, and has you've led him to where he's at today, doing what he's doing today for many people, looking out for people more than just himself, Lord. And I just ask that you guide my words and questions and Corey's answers and descriptions. Be with everybody in the comment section that's viewing this today, and be with their families and loved ones. Anybody that's struggling with anything, Lord, just have them reach out and contact somebody that could lend them some support and words of encouragement. And just I ask you bestow your grace and mercy and love upon everybody that's involved. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, Corey, you ready?
You let me come on here and give my testimony. I mean, it's people need to know the truth, and people go through things all the time that they don't want to talk about. And whenever somebody starts talking about it and they can relate, I mean, it opens doors to get help and all that. So I appreciate the platform.
Yeah,
Uh,
my
so
pleasure for sure. I appreciate
can we just
what's it.
start? Just
Yeah, well, um, I'm just going to start out with some questions, and I mean, just take the answers wherever you want. You know the story and know the answer. So I'm going to start off though, because you give me a little, like I said, a micro bio in the beginning, so I could write up the description and stuff. So I've gotten to know a little bit about your story already. So that's how I kind of base some questions on them. But they're like in timeline. Um, Got to start off with the childhood, where many things happen right there for a lot of people growing up. You mentioned that your dad, for whatever reason, had made it known that he just wanted one child. And I know you had a brother. Can you describe how resentful your dad was towards you because there was more than one child, basically?
yeah, he didn't straight tell me that, but I was at my grandparents' house. It was for some reason, I don't know, holiday or something. But there was 4 cousins. There's me and my brother and 2 other cousins. And we had been playing outside, and I went in to get something to drink or whatever. Well, the grown-ups didn't know I came inside, and there was like a wall and then a doorway, and I heard them talking about me and my dad. So I stopped short of the wall and just, they couldn't see me. I just listened for a minute, and which I couldn't have done that. But anyway, they were talking about how in his eyes that I was a mistake and that I was unwanted, and yeah, my mom was on birth control, and they were saying that he only wanted 1 kid. So that's where that came from. He didn't say that, but that's where I got the information from. But yeah, so like that was probably like 11, 10 or 11 years old. So like after that, I kind of just started paying attention to like the things in my past, and like some of the things started making sense, like why he wasn't there for certain things, or or the way he acted towards me. And like I remember one time, my parents got in a huge fight because he went and bought my brother. School was starting, so he went and bought my brother all kinds of clothes from the mall. All these nice polos and whatever. And he went to Walmart, and back then Walmart was, he didn't buy clothes at Walmart. And but now my whole ensemble is Walmart. But back then, anyway, she kind of they got in a fight about that, saying, you need to do the same for both, blah blah blah. And it's just little things like that. He was always showing partiality towards him, and like my brother was the golden child, he can do no wrong, and I can
Hmm.
do no right. And like I don't know, just like in sporting events, my dad coached my brother's teams all the time, so my mom coached mine as far as soccer went, and which soccer was my big thing, and like he wasn't always at my games, but we was always at theirs. It's like, well, why can't they? But it all made sense after that day, and it's just little things like that, just you know. the whole partiality thing is it's pretty harmful and hurtful to especially a child. I
Sure.
mean, it's not for anybody, but especially a child that really doesn't understand what and why, and you know what I mean. And so
No, I mean,
my childhood was, but like when I became a teenager, I mean, he still acted the same way as far as that is concerned, but things progressed, and I mean, I always got grounded, when I was a kid, but it progressed into, uh, I guess, military style punishment, and which by his standards, there it was fine. He had to go through that in the army type stuff, but this ain't the army. I was a kid,
yeah,
and just having to do. I'm sure you took athletics in high school. You had to do 6 inches and all that kind of stuff.
sure.
Where you lay down and kick 6 inches off the ground, and your stomach burns, and so he would do stuff like that, and he would do that and make me sit on the wall, like had my like I was in a chair, but there wouldn't be a chair there, and just my legs would just burn. I mean, I had to stay there for a long time. It would just hurt, and stuff like that. And I'd had a meal on uncooked rice. Uh, One of his favorite things to do though was he would if he wanted to know something or thought I was lying about something or whatever the case may be, he would uh, put me up against the wall, face first against the wall, and he would put a mark on the wall about I don't know about that far above my nose, and he'd tell me to put my nose on the mark, and I would do it, and I would have to stay there and which I wasn't going to tell him what he wanted to know. I'm a hardhead, so when that's my story. I'm sticking to it. But
I got you.
when I dropped below the line, he would be sitting there in the chair and he'd hit me with a belt, and I'd get back on the line. It would go on until I couldn't stand anymore. I'd tell him whatever, and it's just the way it was. I thought it was normal. I didn't know anything was off about it. But I remember
Hmm.
one time he made me take a bath in a 55-gallon drum in the backyard on the back porch, and we don't have a privacy fence. Like you can drive by and stuff. Like, well, okay. So, just
Yeah, they
just
did.
thinking.
They didn't do that in gym. Like there was that's a few things you're mentioning that I don't even know about that being in the military. But then again, I wasn't in the military, so
Yeah, I
the
think that was his
uncooked,
own thing.
yeah, the uncooked rice thing. I mean, yeah, you shared some of this stuff with me before, and I'm reading this like I have some things I'd never even heard of. The chair, the wall thing, the nose thing. I've not heard of that one either. But the uncooked rice, man, that's the one that got me the most. And I mean, now that you look back on it and you eventually realize that this wasn't really normal punishment type of stuff. I'm sure your brother didn't get all this, did he?
Well, no,
So
I mean, he did. He got the line one time, but he told on himself real quick. He didn't get no punishment. Like he just stayed there, I think it was my own fault for staying there so long.
maybe,
But
but
got some big
what?
calls out of it.
Well, see, there's always a silver lining.
Oh,
What would you say the worst of that was? Like looking back on it, or just was it all just unnecessary?
I mean, it was unnecessary, but the main thing was the worst part was just him griping all the time. It's just I didn't want to be at home because he gonna find something. He gonna do something. And Sunday mornings were the worst because like Saturday he'd get up and go mow the yard, whatever. I didn't have to worry about it. But Sunday morning, like man, he wouldn't let us sleep. If he was up, we had to be up type thing, and we didn't go to church very often, like every once in a blue moon. But when we did, he'd be outside smoking cigarettes longer than he was in the chapel. And it was just, he went for kind of status quo type thing, but he didn't go enough for that anyway. So I mean, it's just one of those knew he was gonna be griping about something, and it's,
He
it's,
just
it's
wasn't.
hard when you say it every day. It's like, man, it's like something else. So I was always trying to be gone, and I would stay gone from daylight to dusk, and playing, and I was outside. I was always at a friend's house or something. I didn't want to be here. So
I
I
mean,
mean,
did all this? That's understandable. I mean, I think anybody would have tried to do the same. Stay away as long as possible without getting extra, punishment. But I mean, this started to kind of build some, resentment and anger in you as well, though. I mean, after a certain amount of time, like you didn't even
Oh,
want
yeah.
to be home.
Oh no, it
Mm.
got to where, I mean, like, yeah, we were. I thought we'd end up boxing, but we never did. I mean, I wanted to, but I don't know. I was kind of. That is my dad, I do respect him, in
Yeah.
that respect. I mean, even today I respect him, but I ain't got nothing to do with him, But I mean, he is my
He's,
father, but
he's
I
still
don't have to.
around.
Yeah, he's a couple miles down the road. I don't ever see him, but matter of fact, every now and again I'll see him in the grocery store, and he'll burn off or something. Like I've seen him twice at the store. Uh, the last time I seen him, I didn't say anything to him. He was at the other end of the aisle, and I walked down the aisle. He seen me just like went around the aisle, like, well, that's fine. But like the time that got me was I hadn't seen him in years, and probably about 5 years. But I wasn't trying to see him. But I had both my kids with me, and uh,
Ugh.
he's met my oldest son a few times, but my youngest son, maybe he met him once. I don't know, like it wasn't. So anyway, I walked in the store and I seen him coming, like he was pushing his buggy out the door. So I stopped at the door, like I'm standing in the doorway, like he's got to stop. So I said, "Hey, Dad," and he was like right there, like 3 feet from me, and he looked right at me, didn't say a word, looked straight ahead and walked out the store. So I'm like, "That's cool." Well, so I
Yeah.
mean, but that's all right. I mean, that's his own fault. He ain't getting to see his grandkids grow up and all that. And so, hey, man, it's his loss, not mine. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just that's where it's at.
I mean, if he came to you at all, just like, I mean, because, I mean, you got to know at this point, I mean, God performs miracles. And it would probably, I don't think you would disagree that it would probably take a miracle for your dad to like reach out to you and be like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, insert whatever here. And if he wanted to really reconcile with you, that's got to be on his part. It has to come from him. I mean, you can't start the reconciliation. Everything was kind of done to you. If he came to you and you could tell that he was really serious and meant it, I mean, would you care to like try to like start that
Yeah.
process of mending it?
Yeah. I love that, but he's
You
just, like I
just don't
said,
think you don't think it'll happen?
it would take a miracle. I mean, it really would. I mean,
You
matter of fact, me and him actually, after all this happened and all that, he actually told me that, we need to talk. I'm like, well, so he puts me in the car and check out this for anxiety. We can't go talk in the bedroom or the living room. He wants to drive me 30 miles away to his office to have a talk, sitting across from me at his desk. Like, that's great. Like, okay, now I feel like I'm being interrogated. But no, it was, and I thought, hey, I cleaned my side of the street. I apologize, to him for all the things I did, even shooting myself because, I mean, even though I was trying to hurt myself, it did a lot to them, and I'm sure even though that, the way he was, I'm sure it did hurt him in some way. He did have to clean up the aftermath or most of it, and uh, talk about it. I've heard from people that were here that he had to use nose pliers to pull my teeth out of the sheetrock type stuff. So, I mean, I'm sure there was some effect on him with all that. So, but I did
sure.
apologize, and we talked, and he asked me because my mom tried to put all the blame on him, which is wrong, but it was a lot, but that was just the the straw that broke the camel's back type thing. I lived with him, and the majority was coming from him, but it was just everything all at once. But and I told
I
him
mean,
he asked me, is it all my fault? And I said, it's not all your fault. I said I
wow.
don't want you to believe it was all your fault. I said, yeah, there was part in it. I can't believe I even told him that. I said, yeah, you had part in it, but I said that it wasn't just you. It was, and I told him it was most of it was probably my friend. They had
Yeah.
killed himself. Probably half of it. I don't know. That hit me pretty hard.
Yeah,
And
that was my next question. Like, I mean, I stayed on the father thing a little bit too long. I didn't
oh yeah,
expect that you ran into him like that and had those conversations. And look, I will pray that there comes a day where he could separate the incident and his see his part in all that he did and how he mishandled your brother and your situation. Almost kind of created a wedge there in a sense. And I'm going to talk about your brother too in a little bit, but yeah, how close were you with your best friend? And just tell people kind of what happened and then what led a year later after that.
well, we were pretty inseparable. We were been best friends ever since like kindergarten. We told everybody we were cousins. I mean, we were the same height. I mean, we looked similar. I mean, past for cousins, everybody believed it. And I mean, it just he was man. He had it all. Like like his dad was a pharmacist. They had money. I mean, they had an in-ground pool in the backyard. He had a half pipe in his backyard. I mean, he is a cheerleader. I mean, he had four wheelers. I mean, maybe he had it. I mean, popular. I mean, what was going wrong?
That was my next question. What do you tell
Until that
everybody? What?
day,
Yeah,
his
tell
brother
everybody like what he ended up doing. And my question was like, did you ever think of a reason why he did what he did
still have no clue.
to this day?
And to this day, and the thing, like I said, he was popular and all that, and it's just, I mean, we both were, but whatever. It's like it was a Friday night. I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday. Me and him and my other buddy Bill, uh, we all were leaving school, and I had a license, and I was going to go pick up Bill and go to Cody's house and pick him up. We was all going to go to this party, and I mean, that's what my class did. We partied all the time, like every weekend we were doing something, and it was detrimental. But anyway, we were going. It was supposed to be a big party this weekend, so we were all going to go home, take showers, and we'll pick everybody up, round everybody up. I was 16 years old. I was the only one with the truck, and and so we got home, and I mean, I was getting ready for the party, and I took a shower, and I got out of the shower, and matter of fact, I'm living in the same house. I was standing like 3 foot away from where I'm sitting right now when I got the news. So it was like my buddy Bill called me, and I'm like, "What's going on?" I'm like, getting ready, and this, that, and another. And he's like, "Well, we're not going to the party. Party, it's not gonna happen." I'm like, "It's not gonna happen. It's like a big party. We're going. Like, come on." And he's like, "Man," he's like, "Cody shot himself," and I'm like, "What?" I says, "He all right? He shot himself in the foot? What's going on?" Because we went hunting all the time, and because we live out in the country, and like, he's like, "No, he shot himself. He died. He shot himself in the head." And I'm like, and I just, my heart sank, just fell out of my chest. I'm like, "What? What?" Like, just I couldn't believe it. Anyway, so my parents wouldn't let me go anywhere. Well, they wouldn't let me drive. So I called my other buddy. He lived down the road. His name was Korey too. Kind of crazy. But so Korey picked up Korey, and I remember I punched the neighbor's mailbox and messed it all up. And uh, so I said, "Take me to his house." He's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Take me to his house." And so I went to his house, and I mean, this hit everybody. Even the ambulance driver was my buddy Bill. It was his stepdad was the ambulance driver, and so he had to go pick up this kid that was his stepson's best friend. I mean, it was just hit everybody hard, and like there was nothing happening around here like that before that. So it's like anyway. So I got there, and there was mass cops everywhere and ambulance and all that. They already had him in the ambulance. I didn't see that. I didn't see. Thank God. But anyway, so I had a cop guarding the door of his house, and I went up to him up there. I'm going in there. Like he's like, "You're not going in." I said, "I'm going in there. You need to step aside. I'm going in." And I don't know why he did it, but he just slid to the side, and I went in the house, and uh, I'll never unsee the things I saw. I shouldn't have gone in the house. But but his family was all there. His brother and his sisters, and I was there. I was trying to be there for them. I didn't know what to do. I was just so. I mean, I stayed there for a couple of hours, and it was just horrible. I mean, the worst you could possibly imagine. And
Were they
like, I
there when you did it, Corey?
do what?
Was anybody in the house when he did it?
No, well, his nephew was there, and he was supposed to be babysitting the nephew, and the nephew was on the couch, like 67, so he didn't see anything. But anyway, so yeah, all that was just crazy. So I went home, and like I said, it was like Friday and whatever, and over the weekend, just there was no counseling. Nobody, like everybody was sad about it, but nobody was trying to, you know, you okay type thing. You know what I mean? Like my mom was asking me, like, yeah, I'm alright. You know. Uh, the the funeral was like that Monday, and it was there was standing room only in the parking lot, man. Just it was so crazy. And the funeral procession was it was like 5 miles long of cars. It was just insane, And anyway, so after all that, we went back to school, and first day back, how everybody hangs out before school, waiting on class and all that. I was there about 10 minutes. I'm like, I'm gone. I can't do it. And I didn't ever skip school and stuff like that. I was scared of my dad, but anyway, so I told everybody, I said, I'm leaving. I can't be here today. I gotta go. So I didn't tell any of the principals or nobody like that. I just left, and there was probably about 10 people left with me. Just followed me. I didn't tell them come on. And we went to Bill's house. It was across the street from the high school down in that neighborhood. So we went down there and just we were just being together. Just trying to be all right. You know? So like the principal even called his mom's house. Like she wasn't there. She was at work. But, and he wanted to talk to me. Like you called his house because you want to talk to me. So we weren't even we didn't get in trouble. He said, I just want to make sure you're all right, and blah blah blah. So yeah, but after that, it was just everybody just went on. There was no counseling. There was no anything. There was just nothing. Just
Just
rub some dirt.
avoid.
Yeah.
It
So
was
I
just
mean,
like he's here. He's here one day. Everybody's hanging out, going to school, partying, just living life, being normal. And then
and
this
then
just happens, and not a single friend of yours or his or anybody, nobody was like he was dealing with this. He was struggling with that. Some breakup happened. He got an F
no,
in school. I
nothing.
mean, just I. Does anybody think that it could have been an I mean, just an accident?
It wasn't an accident.
Okay.
I mean, the gun up to his chin. I mean, there's
Yeah.
no reason to have the gun in the house anyway. Like it's like so. And he knew he had gun safety. He knew.
Yeah. You guys hunted and stuff, so he knew how to handle guns and.
Oh yeah. I mean, he killed deer before. Like he knew. But it was but yeah, and that was January the 8th of 1993.
Yeah.
So, when we went back, we just had to be all right. Back then you didn't just reach out. And guys were just supposed to carry on, toughen up. Rub some dirt in, and so that's what we did. But you rub dirt in a wound like that, it just makes mud. It don't heal anything. And so, but anyway, everybody tried to do the best they could, and nobody really talked about it, and just stay behind us type thing. But and I kept getting in trouble with my parents during the year. But nothing really changed about that. It was a constant. But and I didn't act out any more than I already had. It was just you know. So, but around Christmas time, we I had gotten in a lot of trouble. Me and a buddy of mine, he's actually my brother's brother-in-law now. My brother married his sister. We were best friends, you know, after all that, and uh, me and him and this other guy, we were out stealing Christmas lights and just terrorizing the town, you know, drinking a little bit, and you know, we were doing it, you know, all in good fun. We weren't trying to make anybody mad or anything like that. So, but we were taking those wire reindeer, and we I had a truck, so we did make a few loads, and we had a herd of reindeer at this store that was closed, you know, in the parking lot, and yeah, we were just goofing off, you know. And, so the cops pulled us over, and they're like, "Y'all been stealing Christmas lights, rah, rah, rah." Like, no, yeah. And they asked me for registration, and I opened the glove box, and the lights come pouring out. I'm like, "Well, you got me, you know, like, what are you gonna do?" So
Great
we
place
didn't
to
get
hold
told. We didn't get told. They said, "Man, quit, just go home." So we're like, all right. We quit and went home. I didn't know we were about to get in a lot of trouble because uh, when we almost got caught in this one neighborhood. They're like, go, go, go. And like they jumped in my truck. Like one guy's head was under my legs. I was driving. I didn't know, but the guy ran out and he had grabbed onto my tailgate of my truck. I didn't know. And so when I took off, I went around the corner. I slung him off. I had no idea he was even back. So yeah, they started bringing that up. And I'm like, "But look, well, I didn't know." But the guy was like, "Man, I'm not even mad about it. Y'all quit doing that. You can't do it no more." And we were supposed to pay for lights and all that. And my buddy, I was already thinking about suicide, but I hadn't really accepted it. But you know, it was a reoccurring thought because of what my buddy did. And not saying it was his fault, but it was contingency. You know what I mean? So anyway, my buddy's like, "Man, you gonna pay that money back?" I'm like, "Nah, I ain't gonna be around." So you know, I just said it like that. He didn't catch it,
Yeah.
and just you know, I don't know, just I let it go. And so I mean, I was grounded forever. So,
Uh,
I've
understandably
been
so, a
grounded
little bit,
for
Corey, on that one.
yeah. So I've been grounded for about 3 weeks, and New Year's was coming, and
Yeah.
well, my buddy had a plan that we could drink. He said we could drink at my house. My mom don't care. I'm like, cool. So man, I begged and talked my parents to just let me go out this one night and I can be grounded in a second, like you know, whatever. Finally, they agreed to it, and I'm all right. So I went to my buddy's house, got kicked out immediately because I brought beer. Like this is not how it goes. And so they called my parents and told them they kicked me out because we had beer, but we didn't go home. We went to the woods, you know. Matter of fact, my buddy that was with me, we went and found his dad that he hadn't seen in 20 years, and we found him though, and so we went, man, we got just partying, just man, just I was, I guess I blacked out. Somebody threw me in the back of a blazer and went mud, and I didn't even know. I was bouncing around the back, didn't even know about it until the next day. And I woke up in the back of the blazer, like, where am I at? You know, I didn't have
Covered
my
in mud
keys.
and
Where my
bruises.
keys at? You know, they stole my keys and everything, so I wouldn't drive. So, and then it had rained that night, so my truck was like, I was about a quarter mile down this dirt road, so I was stuck down there. Took me half the day and hung over to get it out. And when I got home, I was in big trouble. And part of my punishment was I had to wash the truck right then and there, like every inch of the truck. Even
Oof.
underneath the truck, I had to wash it with like soap and water type thing. My dad said, I want you to be able to eat off the bottom of that truck. I'm like, all right. So, I mean, while I was under there, and I hate being cold, I was under there with a water hose just squirting the bottom of the truck, laying underneath it. I'm like, I'm done, bro. I'm done. I'm checking out. I'm gonna kill myself and just I don't have to worry about none of this. Just you know, I kept thinking about my buddy. You know, thinking he was in heaven. You know, I don't know where you go. Don't ask me. I don't. Between you and God, that's a relationship between you and God. So don't ask me where you go. I don't know. That's that's a personal thing. So Um, but he was a Christian, so I mean, I believe he's in heaven. But I mean, I was just thinking about him, and like I was thinking about heaven. You know, I was thinking I want to be there. I don't want any problems. I don't want any stress. I don't want. I don't want to have to be worried to come in the front door. You know what I mean? And so that was it. I made the decision, and like I said, it was January 1st. Well, I came in the house and I showered and got warm, and I went to my brother's room because I mean, I had guns, he had guns, but he had the shotgun. And so I went in his room and I left the shotgun there, but I stole a shell from him. I took a shell, and I mean, I'm in the same room as I was, and sitting in the same spot when I was there at my TV in that shotgun shell, and it was straight across the room right here, and I put it right next to my TV. I didn't hide it or nothing. Just put it next to my TV so I could see it. And man, every day I couldn't wait, man. It's stupid. It's like it became a better and better idea every day, and man, it's just the lies of Satan and
Yeah.
being lied to. And I didn't think I was crazy because he was lying to me in my own voice, in my head. So it's like I know I'm not crazy. Like this is a good idea. Like it's just I was so deceived, and he's that tricky, man. He's the father of lies. If he's saying anything, it's a lie. And so the day came, and my brother was gone, and my dad was gone, but my mom was here, and my mom was a man that was her profession, and I had to get rid of it. So we had a dog, and I was sitting on the couch watching a movie in the living room, and I was like, I gotta get rid of her for a minute. So I'm like, hey, I said the dog needs to go outside. You need to take the dog outside for a minute, blah blah. So she said, all right. So she took the dog outside. So she took the dog outside, bolted, took off to my room, grabbed the shell, ran to his room, grabbed the shotgun, went in the bathroom. And our bathroom, there's two doors you can lock. You can lock the door, and then there's the sink and the closet, and then you lock the other door, and there's the bathroom and the toilet. So I locked both of them, and my son's coming home. But anyway, uh, so I locked both doors, and I had the gun in there, and I loaded it, and I put the butt of the gun on the ground, and I just put my chin on it like that. And I said, all right, man, on the count of three, out. And I didn't know if I got all the way to three. I was so anxious to do it, I just one, two, and then done. And, and but anyway, so after it was done, of course, I don't remember anything. My body shut down as far as remembering anything. I mean, I didn't pass out or nothing, but and what my mom said was I had unlocked both doors and walked back in the living room and sat where I was sitting, just sitting upright, just like I was watching TV. And she came in. She came in the house, and like half my face was gone. I'm covered in blood, just like everywhere. And she didn't know what happened, but I mean, she quickly realized what happened, and she freaked out. But she was, thank God, she was an RN that kept her composure long enough to call 911. And because if she hadn't, you know, but that's God works miracles. So, but like she called and it was busy. Ha, House 911 busy. But she called back 5 times and it was busy 5 times in a row. So she called the sixth time and it rang and she got people coming and like when they first got here they wouldn't just the cops do nothing because what are they gonna do? They're not EMTs. They can't. They have to assess the situation and make it safe before the ambulance even come in. You know what I mean? So they just start working right away type thing, which I didn't know that, until later. So I just had to sit there and bleed for longer. But so I mean, I can only imagine that my house looked like my buddy's house back when he did it. But the only difference was I had a helicopter waiting on me about a block away, and so they put me in the helicopter, and I'm trying to communicate the whole time. I'm sitting there writing notes. You know, I can't talk, but I'm writing notes the whole time, and I mean, I had a stack of notes, you know. But they flew me to Beaumont, which is 30 miles away, and when I got there, I mean, I actually talked to nurses and the flight crew and stuff, and they said that I was unrecognizable as a human, that my head was the size of a basketball, and just, I mean, half my face was, and I'll show you, like, from here, camera's got me all wonky there. So from here, all the way down, all this, wait, all this, all this was gone all the way to back here, and like it stopped like right here. My eye was still there, but it was damaged, and I mean, I had BBs all the way up into my forehead, and I mean, I still have some in my forehead, but so it was just, it was, you know, and
Jaw,
uh,
cheekbone, all that was gone. Just whole.
jawbone, backbone, I mean, all that was gone. It was just, it was stuck in the wall,
Oh my
and
gosh.
so they said that they actually said they couldn't help me. They said we don't have the ability to fix you, and so they did what they could. They tried to slow some of it down what they could, and so they put me back in the helicopter and flew me to Galveston, Texas, and that's where I stayed for months. And I mean, they did amazing things, like miracles, like every time they touched me. So it was just, and to date I've had 56 surgeries, and I never had one infection. Never had, I never just, you know, I'm sure my mom had a lot to do with that, keeping the infections away. But I mean, still, when you have that many surgeries, you know, infections pretty imminent, you know. But I mean, it's the things I had to go through in there. It's,
Can I ask you? Can I ask you some? These might just sound like random questions, but
it's
forgive me. But just curiosity here. Um, I'm sure you was in the hospital. You were transferred and whatever, but you were in the hospital for quite a long time before you were released officially, right?
oh yeah, at
And so
least
when you was released, I mean, you had to go back home, right?
right.
So how I just have to wonder, like, that's your home, that's where you live, that's where the incident happened. What was? Can you remember like what you were thinking, like right before you entered the door and there's the living room where you were sitting, and I'm sure you had to use the bathroom eventually. Like
Yeah,
what
the
went through
truth.
your mind?
Tell you the truth, when I was in the hospital, I mean, I realized what happened and how it happened, and where it came from. I mean, I know it was a spirit, you know, of suicide straight from Satan himself. And because afterward, when I woke up, those all those thoughts. I say when I woke up, I wasn't. When I started remembering,
Yeah,
I didn't wake up. I was awake the whole time. When I started remembering, those thoughts weren't there. None of them, you know. And uh, that just goes to show me that the spirit of suicide thought its job was taken care of, and it left. So I mean, I was able to, uh, and I knew God at the time. I talked to Him all the time in my head because I couldn't talk, and it was just me and Him. Me and Him had long, a lot of them, and like, I mean, I wasn't triggered by it. I mean, I'm still not, you know. And like, a lot of people ask me, how can you be in the same house? And
yeah.
I don't even think about it, you
I
know. And I'm at peace with everything that happened. I mean, I know why it happened, how it happened, and everything else, and I'm at peace with it. And I mean, it's just I never had those triggers. Thank God. You know, I think that's part. You know, part of a main part of His healing in me was to take those from me. So,
Yeah,
uh, yeah, because I mean that a lot of people like they can't even be close to the place or whatever. And
right. I mean,
yeah,
even even in like way less serious situations. I mean, when it comes to like the people places and things. Like there's some people that just within addiction, they can't go past a certain store or a certain part of the neighborhood because it triggers something in their mind for like using drugs and all this.
Yeah.
But that's kind of miraculous in a sense because, like, yeah, I don't know if anybody else was thinking that, but it was like he had to go home eventually. And I'm sure things were cleaned up and whatnot, maybe rearranged, but you hadn't
They,
been in that house since that night. And you say, this is where I live. And that was already kind of removed and healed from you before you got back into that house.
was
I
only
mean,
God.
otherwise, yeah. Do you,
And tell you, when I got home and stuff, I went hunting and everything else. I had guns. I went shooting guns. I mean, just
well, you did say, while you was in the hospital and everything, you were just kind of being like, I mean, you came to terms with this and almost accepted it pretty quickly. But you were
yeah.
saying, like, I know I got a reason why. There's a reason why you kept me alive, Lord, and I'm going to find out what that is. I'm just going to live my life,
I
And
had that in the hospital.
phew, I mean, you went on. You was hunting, having relationships, going to school, started partying again. I mean, just was like, hey, I'm still here. So you kind of knew God was going to lead you to something eventually. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. When I was in
so
the hospital, so after I started remembering, I uh, I asked him. I was like, man, I said, you saved me for a reason. So, I'm gonna ask you every day till you tell me what it is. And which I asked him every day and never got an answer. And um, I was 12 years later still asking every day with no answer. So, and I just got in a wreck. It'd been 12 years later. In '95, I had flipped my truck like 5 times. It caught on fire. I got in a wreck with an 18 wheeler, 80 miles an hour. I was driving a little Ford Ranger, and I went home. I didn't go to the hospital. I just
just
thought I
got
had
a
a
bloody
busted
nose.
transmission. Yeah, and my wife said I was slurring, but I just got hit by an airbag. 12 gauge didn't knock me out, but airbag did for a second.
Uh,
And but yeah, an airbag was something.
a
But
good plug
anyway,
for the airbag industry.
but yeah, but after I went home and my truck was gone, and I was coming home from work when I got in that wreck, and my job was gone. I couldn't, actually went back to work the next day. They told me I was crazy to go home, and so I went home, and then I started having complications, and I so I asked God again, "Why'd you save me?" Like, what is this? And I went never got mad at God through all of it, but I was frustrated at Him and my situation. So I told him a few choice words. I'm like, "What the blank did you save me for?" Blank, 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 blank. Like it ain't this, but I mean, I have a family. You took my job and my car and like everything. I can't work, and uh, I wasn't expecting an answer, but I got one, and it was out loud. It wasn't in my head, and it was wow, it was crazy. It was trying to describe it. It was I knew exactly who it was, no doubt in who it was. And I always say it came from like the right side of the room. It came from my right side, like from the ceiling type. You know what I mean? It came from above. But there was so much authority in it. Just like there was no question ever, 1,000% of who it was. And it was I say it was a loud voice. It's the only way I can describe it. It was he wasn't yelling, he wasn't screaming, but it was big. It was
Booming.
loud. It was with great authority. It's the only way I can describe it. And I said, "What did you save me for? Well, what is it?" And he said, "I want you to help people with suicides." And I'm like, I laughed in his face. No, sir, not me. And I said, "What do you want?" He said, "I want you to help people and talk to people that are suicidal. I want you to help people. I want you to help my people." And turns out again, nope, not doing that. I said, You got the wrong one." I said, "You crazy."
I'm
I
sure
said,
that
you got the
argument went
wrong
well.
man. Oh man, hey, we got a personal relationship. I call him dude. I mean,
I
that's, it's a personal relationship. That's my friend. That's my everything.
I get you.
So,
I totally get you on that.
so like, I said, man, that's not me. He said that is created you. That is you. I'm like, oh man, what do you say to that? So I said no. I said no. Like, nah, uh-uh. So anyway, he was so I sat there for a minute and was thinking about it. I'm like, man, I don't know. So I said, all right, look, if this is really what you want to do, give me some confirmation because you speaking to me like that just ain't enough. You know, it's like whatever. So you might be joking. So anyway, uh, so confirmation, yeah, I shouldn't have asked for that. It was like he didn't just give me confirmation through a person. It was just like, all right, you want confirmation? Here it is, boom. So it's like instantly, it was just like a broken record started in my head. Help people, help people, help people, help, and it nonstop would not stop. Like, oh my gosh. Okay, okay, I
Wow.
get it. Cool. Like waterboarding.
Okay.
I get it. Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. And as soon as I said it, I would do it. And yes, and it was like, man, it was like a light switch went on. It's like I understood everything in my life down to conception because my mom was on birth control. And like my dad didn't want kids, but God wanted me here for such a time as this. And I didn't understand all that then, but it made perfect sense whenever I said yes. It's like you never see those movies where you see everything flash like and you're
Yeah.
like, you know, it's
Collage
like
type of
that.
deal.
And I'm like, what? Just and it just the way my dad acted my whole life, he was supposed to act like that. If he didn't act like that, I wouldn't have been in the situation I was in, and I wouldn't have went to where I went. What? Hang on, let me let my dog.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Life.
I wouldn't have. The outcome wouldn't have been the same. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have been able to talk to people like I am now. You know. So I
Right.
mean, I thank God now for all the things I went through and whatever happened because it was not for me. You know, it was never about me. So I mean, yeah. I mean that. So that's where I started, and I mean I jumped in feet first. I started uh, taking calls at the Raven Crossing Suicide Center of Southeast Texas, and I took the hours nobody wanted, and I was like 6 days a week. So I was like 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Let me get those, and whoa shoot boy, should have thought about that because I wasn't I hadn't prepared myself for what I was fixing to hear. You know what I'm saying? I was
Sure.
just doing what God wanted me to do. I didn't, spiritually, I was not where I needed to be. So, I mean, I still did. I did it for a couple of years. I just pounded away, and it was getting to me. It was. I wasn't showing any effects, but man, it's just I couldn't get some of the thoughts out of my head. Not my bad thoughts, just things they were telling me. It's
Sure.
that you can't understand some of the things, and
Heavy.
yeah,
Well,
it
so
was heavy.
did that make you want to ask God, like, hey, look, I'm trying to learn and do these classes and put some stuff behind all this that you want me to do, and this is kind of heavy on me, but you know also that He won't put too much on your shoulders that you can't handle. So, I mean,
No,
yeah,
no,
how will that
no.
affect you? What do you do with it?
Let me stop you right there because that's a false misconception that people don't understand. He will put too much on you that you can't handle, so you'll look at him for the solution. What it says in the Bible is you will not be tempted beyond what you can bear. The temptation
Okay,
from Satan will be too much, and he always gives you a way out. So, yeah, the part of putting too much on your shoulders that will happen, so you'll look to him for the solution. But yeah, but
I'm glad you said that because I've always kind of said that first, and as soon as you corrected that, yeah, that is how it is. So I was like instant, like, all right, and I'll never think of that differently from this moment on.
But in all the things that gets put on your shoulders, a lot of that's temptation, and he does give you a way out. So it all kind of goes together. But
Yeah.
I forgot what I was in it.
Well,
It's
just I
hard.
mean, just with doing that for a couple years, like a
Oh
lot of other people's stories were heavy on you.
yeah, I did that for a couple of years, and then me and my wife, she wanted another kid, and I'm like, well, I only wanted one too, but you know,
Huh.
just for the simple fact that I didn't feel like I had enough financially to take care of another one. You know what I mean? That it's not that I didn't love it.
Right.
So I mean, I couldn't deny her the right to have children. So we had another child, and I mean, I broke the cycle of my dad or whatever. I mean, I love him to death, and me and him were best friends. Both my kids is had to break that cycle, but I only wanted one because I couldn't financially afford it. That was mine. It wasn't because I didn't really love it. But yeah, I wouldn't trade my kids for the world. It was just a thought I had when growing up and everything. That was just
I get
my
that.
thought. Yeah, but when she got pregnant and I was like, man, it's getting to be too much. So I backed away from the suicide thing as far as being an operator and I mean I was going to church 6 days a week anyway, so I just focused on that and uh, I was having a lot of surgeries because after I had gotten that wreck a week
Yeah.
later I I had a violent seizure a week later and broke both my shoulders. So I mean I'm at the house every day. I can't work. So I mean I'm just praising God and following God because there's nothing I don't know anything else to do. I can't work. I don't ask for help. Like give me money. I'm not that kind of guy. I mean I'll get out there and do what I gotta do. I mean, but anyway, so I kept having surgeries because I'd have a seizure and break this and then the seizure came on because of the wreck, I guess. But so I've had my right one operated on twice and my left one uh it's broke for the fifth time and they won't even operate on it no more. It's messed up so
God.
bad. Can you see the bones? In there?
Yeah.
That's 75% titanium. So I mean, it's at a point where they won't even fix it no more because it's,
Do you still have the seizures? I mean, how often do they still happen?
no. I mean, I with medication it's regulated. Let's just say that. So I haven't had one with the the medicine I use in like 7 years. So I mean that's where that's at. But yeah, I mean if I
Good.
didn't take it,
Good.
definitely still happen. But God finds a way. God takes care of me. So
Yeah.
you know. But
You said that there was like a. This is getting into I think like where you really started leaning into faith and the Bible more. But you said there was like a 5 year period where you and your girlfriend or wife, whichever at the time, were just kind of like living on faith alone. You want to talk about that some, and then what actually ended up
yeah,
landing you in jail for a couple months?
that was after all that. I actually. But yeah, I was. Well, she wasn't going to church. I was. She was still in addiction. She was on painkillers, pretty bad actually. But
Yeah.
me and my son would go to church, and my oldest son was behind. But we only had one at the time. And anyway, uh, he got into church with me, and he ended up getting baptized and all that. And but I that went on for about 5 or 6 years probably, and I was pretty versed in the Bible. I was growing and definitely not where I needed to be, but I was getting there. So like some things happened at the church and nothing I did. But I ended up leaving the church and so I went back to the church I got married in and was doing stuff in there too. So like I was still going to church all the time. Well, in 2011, that's when we had my other son, And my father-in-law was like, "Man, you need to get back to work." I said, "No, but like I both like right here, my shoulder, I can't do anything. Like my shoulders are on the ground. I'm good. Like I can do stuff on the ground." So he's like, "Well, let's open a bounce house business." I'm like, "That's just retarded." I said, "Why don't do that?" So he did that, and so he's like, "You can work it." And I'm like, "Okay." So I did that. That's the hardest job I ever had in my life. You know, these things are so heavy, like 800 pounds, and like dry. When they're wet, they're 1,800 pounds or more. Like, man, this is a great idea. So I'm got a broke shoulder, and I'm swinging a 15-pound sledgehammer all day, 16 hours a day, or whatever. So, and our business got growing pretty good, and it was just me running it. So it pulled me out of church, and I went from going to church 5, 6 days a week to working 7 days a week, and it just I went backwards. I got back on the drugs and just snowballed. And he ended up selling the company because he got divorced, and so I mean I went with the company to this new guy, and me and him just didn't click. He wanted things that just couldn't happen, Like he's like, clean the thing. It's like it's raining. Like you want to blow it up in the rain or roll it up and get mold? Like no, you can't do that. You have to wait. He's like, no, wait. I'm like, whatever. Like, so I just had to part ways. And so anyway, he ended up selling the company, and it's actually right down the road from where I work now. So I get to see all my bounce houses all the time. Like, great, yay! But, it's
Even on
awesome.
rainy days.
No, not on rainy days. But so yeah, and I just kept getting deeper and deeper in the drugs. CPS kept getting called, and I was I would drink bleach and orange juice to clean my system out, and
Hmm.
so I was with my kids, and I did that about 3 or 4 times, and then they kept coming, and at that time, like I took a break from dope, so I was just smoking weed at that time. So I'm like, I'm not even trying to get it out of my system. I'm tired of drinking bleach. So uh, and I kept getting called because my wife, she had a hot mouth and she would make people mad and they would call because they knew we were doing stupid stuff. Anyway, so so I didn't even try to clean out and I failed for weed and they're like, well, you gotta take a class and whatever. So the next time they got called, I was back on the dope and I'm like, I'm not cleaning out. I'm done. And so I'm like, I'm just not gonna answer the door. If I answer the door, it's my own fault, right? So they kept coming and knocking, we wouldn't answer, and they just go away. Well, that didn't last. So they knocked on the door and let us know we're coming back with the cops on Tuesday. And this is like a Thursday. I'm like, oh no, like we pushed it too far. we, we have made the man mad.
Yo.
So anyway, at that time, I pretty much had a trap house. My house was the trap house. I was cooking dope in my shed, and SWAT team was about to kick the door in, and it
Wow.
was a so I'm like, quitting. So I quit. Like, I mean, I was shooting up and everything, just, and a lot of it too. So I quit and in the trap house, and I still had to get it from my ex because she couldn't quit. So they came back and they said they were, and they did the swab thing, and I was like, I don't know about that. So anyway, my test came back that I failed, and hers came back inconclusive. And I straight up told her right there, I said, nope, she just did some dope, and I'm clean. So hers should have been positive, and mine should have been negative. Y'all's tests are wrong. I'm not taking it. And I said, I demand a urinalysis. And she's like, we can't do that. I'm like, you don't get it. Like, my kid's involved. I'm going to pee in that cup in the kitchen, and you're bringing it with you. She's like, we can't do that. And she's like, look, y'all can go down tomorrow and take a piss test. And so, all right. So we both went the next morning and did the UA, and I passed and she failed. And the lady came to the house and she's like, "You gotta take the kids out of here, or I'm taking them." And I think I left before the worker did with the kids, like so. Yeah, that was the whole thing. So that's So I started, staying clean, and uh, yeah. So I was staying with my friend because me and my mom couldn't get along. We couldn't get along for
Mm.
years. She was pretty bitter, and everything was my fault. But so anyway, I had a CPS case open, and they said we're not taking your kids from you, but you're under heavy supervision. Like, but I passed everything, so I don't even know why I do know why.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
passed, and she didn't have to do anything, and she failed. I was pretty upset about that. I had to jump through hoops for these people. Anyway, and it was crazy because I wasn't doing dope, but I was drinking, and I ended up going to jail during my CPS case because my mom started arguing with me about something, and I was staying a block away. So I walked over here, and I'm not a physical guy. I'm not gonna hurt anybody. So she was like, "Don't touch me, don't touch me." I'm like, "I know not to even touch you, or I'll go to jail." I'm not never touched my mom. Never, never have, never will. To this day, haven't. Anyway, so she was just on the phone with 911. She was churching, drama, churching it up a little bit. But so the cops got there, and I'm like, they got body cams on and everything, and I'm just standing there. And she finished telling her story, and I'm like, let me talk to him. She's like, okay. So she handed me the phone. I talked to the 911. I told them my side of the story. They're like, all right, well, let me talk to your mom again. I said, okay. So I handed the phone to her, and they're like, put your hands behind your back under arrest. I'm like, for what? Interrupting a 911 call. What is that? Yeah, that's a pretty big penalty too. That's almost a felony. Then,
Wow.
so if anybody ever calls 911, you call them from your own phone. Don't get the phone. So
Okay.
yeah, they're like they broke contact with the original caller. You could have been beating her up. I'm like, you were standing right there with your body cam on. So anyway, yeah, CPS was gonna take my kids because of that. I'm like, no, I wasn't drunk. I was just mad. I wasn't drunk at all. I drank one beer. I was just mad, and I explained to her. I said, the CPS lady, and she's like, well, you need to meet me in Beaumont, which is 30 miles away. I'm like, look, lady, I'm signed in to donate plasma around. I can't leave. I'm not meeting you. She's like, well, we're just gonna take this to court, and we're just gonna take your kid. And I said, well, you know what? Let's go to court. And I told her to kiss my whatever, whatever. And I said, well, I'll see you in court. And then she closed the case. Like about 2 weeks later, I'm like, huh, really? Okay. Well, I guess I called her bluff. I wasn't playing games with her. So anyway, after all that, I stayed clean 8 months, and then I relapsed after losing the job because I was working for a Christian car salesman, used car salesman, and he wasn't a Christian. So me and him had words because he kept ripping people off,
Huh.
and so I quit, and I was out the door, and he said, "Yeah, you can't do nothing right. You can't even kill yourself right." So I stopped. And he went back to me, I cleared his desk of everything, computer and all that. I said, come outside. So he grabbed this closet that was about 3 foot long. I said, huh. I said, bring that with you. You're going to need it. So I went outside and waited on him. He wasn't coming outside, and I started thinking. I said, there's a police station about a block away. I should leave. So I left, and my this girl gave me a Xanax. I took it. And that's wrong because that was my downfall. I took it, and then I made a phone call. Crazy. My best friend Cody that died, his girlfriend that was a cheerleader, she's a dope dealer now. And I mean, she's now, but she was a dope dealer. So she gave me a bunch of free dope and free needle, and like, why would you ever do that? So I shot the whole. That was over a gram. I shot a gram, and then uh, at one time I walked outside. I had my youngest son with me. And I was in Louisiana at this girl's house, and I walked outside, and the cops walked up behind me, and I had a little bit of weed and a crumb in my hat, and they're like, freeze, and just couldn't even spell my name right. So I went to jail, and I'm sitting there watching. I'm sitting there driving off, and my 5-year-old sitting there watching.
Oof.
Failed, he failed. And I was so mad, so mad. They gave me the nickname P4 because anybody said anything, like, blah, just blow up, just like rip your head off, like just not happening. So my mom wouldn't take my phone calls. Didn't know where my kid was. Just I didn't know. But she brought him back to my mom. Well, actually, my father-in-law's house, and he brought her home. But anyway, I I was in there, and after a couple of days, this guy he said I couldn't see him. I could just see the bars. Anyway, hang on. So he held a Bible out for the bars. He's like, "You want this?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do." I said, "I need it." So he slid it to me, and I got it. And it was at that point, which I had been praying, already, but I didn't have the word. So it was at that point I just started reading, and God was telling me, and He showed me. He's like, because I read it before, but I didn't read like I should have. He said, I've given you this tool to use. It's a communication tool. It's a tool for anything you can come across. So I'm like, okay, I'm listening, and like, well, we'll use it. So, burn up my battery. So anyway, I started reading it, and I would read it for like 16 hours a day because I had the time. And it was the thing was I was using it as a tool. I was using it for my own good. So like anytime that I like woke up in the middle of the night feeling mad, sad, lonely, anything, I wouldn't just sit there and feel that. I would get up and I would start reading. And within a couple of minutes, I had a smile on my face, and I'm just reading. It didn't matter where. I just opened and started reading it. It didn't matter, and that's what I did for like 60 days, every day. And anytime I felt like felt a little anxiety, I would instead of feeling it, as soon as I feel it, I'd go grab it. Open up and start reading, and it kept me in a place of peace, and it really opened my eyes to a lot of things, and what it meant. Like when God says, "Be still and know that I'm the Lord." It's not. I mean, make your mind still and quit having all those crazy thoughts and everything else. Make it still by His word, where He can communicate with you with an open mind. You know what I'm saying? So He can actually penetrate, which He can. He's God, but you know what I mean. It's a spiritual thing. But
I really do
yeah.
get
So that's what I did, and I was looking at 5 years over there. I'm like, I can't. I mean,
this.
so because they trumped it up, they said I was manufacturing and distribution of weed and meth. I'm like, I'm manufacturing weed. I like had a dime bag on me. Like what? So, so I was trying to sell my truck and get out, but since I was from Texas, the bail bondsmen wouldn't do it. They said you're a flight risk. I'm like, I am not. I can't fly. So anyway, and at that time, my ex had, I didn't mess with her. She had moved the dope dealer in there and went to prison and everything else. So she was in prison when I got locked up. So she didn't know where I was. So when she got out, she found me, and so I wrote her a letter. I said, "Whatever you got to do, get me out. Sell my truck, whatever." So she did, but she didn't write back. She just, it was a while later. I didn't know she got the letter. They said, "Pack your house, you're going home." And I'm like, "Yep." I didn't know how or why or who, but let's go. And so yeah, she sold my truck to my father-in-law actually. So I got to drive it.
Oh
But
wow.
anyway, so I lived with my father-in-law and her, and I was continuing my walk and growing. And I met a lady that on Facebook, man. never met her in my life, and she poured into me, and like I didn't understand why, and she actually sent me to school to get my minister's license. She put me through school. Then never even met this lady, and her name is Karen Cook, and she runs Cook Ministries out of Huntsville, Alabama. And me
Wow.
and her still work together all the time. And like she still pours into me, and like she's stretched me. And I mean, without her doing some of the things she's done, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And I mean, I owe her so much thanks and everything. But she believed in me at the time, and she didn't even know me. Like she just ran across me on Facebook, and so, so I was doing that. I was going to school, and uh, my wife went down the wrong road and got put back in prison, and
Ugh.
for 8 more months. I didn't even know she was doing drugs again. I mean, uh, so anyway, she got out, and after 8 more months, and I was so far into my walk at that time. Uh, I started a group and everything else, and it was going crazy. I went from somebody told me to start a group. I'm like, nobody wants to hear that. So like in one day, I went from 0 people to 1,800 people in 24 hours, and it just kept going. Like
What's the name of the group?
suicide prevention and God's helpers. And yeah, God gave me the name for it too. I'm like, well, that kind of makes sense, I guess. But and I didn't know at the time, but God's helper is the Holy Spirit. So I didn't know He was naming it that for a reason. So the suicide prevention and the Holy Spirit, if you want to look at it.
Wow.
But,
What's your
but so
what's your
yeah,
favorite what's your favorite story of the Bible?
my favorite story of the Bible. Oh wow, okay, I've been asked that. Uh, I don't know, probably Noah's Ark, because I mean his faithfulness to do what God told him to do, and like you got to understand that they had never seen rain in their life. You say it's going to rain, you don't even know what you're talking about. So I mean,
Oh, it was
that,
crazy.
and how all the years it took to do that, and him not to get discouraged, is just beyond me. I could probably it ain't started raining yet, I, but but yeah, but after she got out, I told her, I said, look, because I mean I mean, I'm not trying to bash her, but she was unfaithful a lot, and 8 times that I know of. But I mean, all that stuff happens for a reason. I help people that are in marriage, I do marriage counseling, I do whatever. So I mean, it works. But when she got out, I told her, I said, look, got to fly right. You got to walk this line, or I can't do it, or I can't do it anymore. I said, I can't. We can't be in opposite directions. And so she did good for a few months, and then she started going back downhill, and she started drinking a little bit, and she can't drink. She's physical when she drinks, and just I had to go. I had to go. And so when I left, it was just like, I mean, I still love her, but it's just she's the way she is. But the thing is, whenever I split away from her, it was like a sprung forward type thing. You know what I'm saying? It was like there was a weight holding me back from all that with the chaos and everything for 20 years. Because we were married 20 years together, 22 years. So there was a
Man.
lot. There was missed spots, as I say. So I mean, after that, I just keep running towards God, and He just puts things in my path that just unexplainable things. But they're all good. And it's all got a good outcome. And when the Bible when it says that God will use what's meant for bad for good, you got to allow that. It doesn't just happen. He's a gentleman. He's not going to push his way in. You've got to allow it and accept it. And so at that point, I just kept running and running because that's all. That's the only thing that works in my life. You know what I mean? The only thing that ever works consistently on a daily basis. And so that's the only thing I need to do. And and I'm still doing it now. I actually went back to school and I became a certified clinical Christian counselor. Not that I needed it, and I already had the knowledge. Just people want to see things. People want credentials. I know,
Yeah.
and I know that anybody can help anybody in any situation through God. You don't have to have any of it, but people like to see things. So I did that for the people. There you go.
I get that though. Yeah.
But I
Um.
counsel whoever I can, and like whoever comes across my path, and I don't charge anybody. I don't feel like I should charge people for God's work. He
Nope.
didn't charge me. He didn't charge me. He didn't send me a bill. And matter of fact, he just increased my finances. He didn't charge me. And like the other thing is, I mean, I feel like too many people make money off people's pain. So I feel like it shouldn't cost money to be pain free. So I mean,
Oof.
it doesn't matter what time, what day. I mean, just it doesn't. I mean, I've talked to people every day for 5 years. I say I ain't charging them a penny. It doesn't matter. It's not about me. It's about you being better. And that's how I live and that's how I roll, and it works. I don't. I have the counseling thing, but I don't counsel under a heading because the state still has their hands in things. So there's things I would have to go by. But if I just counsel you as a friend, I don't have to do anything. I can go by the Holy
Right.
Spirit. So that's what I do. I do it as a friend, and that's how we're gonna work. And we don't have to call the police. We don't have to do none of that. We can show you the Holy Spirit, and we can actually make you a better person. We can actually solve the problem instead of trying to use pills or something to treat the side effects. We're going after the main cause and see results. So that's what we do, and that's where I'm at today, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. And if God gives me another thing to do, but I don't think it's going to. He might just up the ante and just have another avenue. Hey, whatever's whatever. Whatever he wants is what we're gonna do. So, and that's where I'm at. And if people need help and they want to reach me, they can look it up on Facebook under Korey Burris with a K. Uh, or they can find me on Facebook through my ministry, Suicide Prevention and God's Helpers, or they can text me or call me. My phone number is on my Facebook, and for some reason it's not. It's 409-330-3755. I mean, I do it all. I make house calls, whatever. If you call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're at a bar and need help, I'm coming to sit with you at the bar and we're talking it out. It's not about who it is. It's about you the next day.
I mean,
So
so,
it's
so you're willing to go into those types of situations when somebody calls you drunk or they're like you don't feel triggered or nervous or like you're in the bar sitting with this guy that called you, you're not going to have a drink. Never have.
um,
Okay.
I have been in a bar and I have had to have a drink to talk to somebody. But I mean, I'll have a drink and we'll talk
Okay.
and I'll have a beer. But yeah, like some people are like, I ain't talking to you, you ain't drinking a beer. That type. I mean I'll drink a beer. Come on. Let's hash it out. Come on. And like, sometimes you gotta get in their space.
You can
So I
really
mean
meet you can meet anybody at their level they're on, basically.
you have to meet them at their level. You're not gonna relate to them. And it's like, I call it trench ministry. You got to get in the trenches with them. You can't sit on the bank and talk them out. You got to get in there with them and help them.
Just for myself, I mean, I totally respect that and get that. I think that's more rare though than it is for a lot of people. Like, if I got a buddy that's calling me and he's at the bar and says come have a beer with him, I'm not going to have a beer with him. I mean, I might talk to him after. I just don't even want to put myself in that place or that situation. But that could be just where God has me right now. But
Now,
yeah, I'm
if it's a buddy that says, "Hey, I'm at the bar, come have a beer with me," I'm like, "Nah, no." uh,
okay.
buddies ain't there. It's I mean, it's if you might die that night, yeah, I'll have a beer with you, keep you alive for a minute. But I mean, it's been years since I've had to do that, so it's been
Yeah.
if I had to, I would just to to get make
You
sure they're
truly
breathing.
do you? Would you say that? Would you consider yourself? I mean, if you like, well, I didn't hear you call yourself an addict, but there was a lot of addict
Oh,
things
yeah,
going on there. Are
I
you
was.
are you recovered addict or recovering?
Oh, I'm a recovered addict, but I
Okay.
mean, I was an addict. Shoot, like I was sober when I shot myself. You know, I would go out and drink at a party, social. You know. So, like after I shot myself, I became an addict,
Yeah.
but with everything out there and too much of most of it. But meth was a big thing. Coke, weed, pills, I mean, alcohol. I got 2 DWIs. I mean, just I went through the
Just
addiction thing for 30 years, 20 something years. But I mean, I didn't go to the rooms to get clean. I mean, I know it works. I've been in them. I've gone through it with my ex had to go to them. The steps do work. The steps come out of the Bible, and
yeah.
if you practice, they will work for you. But I got clean with just me and the Bible and God. So
God-based
uh,
recovery.
well, yeah. I mean, after reading the Bible and after going and then reading the 12 steps, it's like I did that. I did that. I did
Yeah.
that. And I did it through reading the Bible and putting it to use. So I mean, as far as me being triggered and being around stuff, God delivered me from it. I'm not, I don't ever think about it. I don't ever Jones for it or like, hey, what would it, you
I believe you. I mean, I got close to 15 months, and like I've told people in this whole 15 months I've not had any desire, temptation, urge. It's just not been there. It feels like it was like God healed some parts of my heart that always made me run to drugs and alcohol, like it was the solution. And I haven't. I just really believe that it doesn't factor into my life in the future anymore. I think it's run its course. God's
Oh yeah,
delivered me some. Now I got some other vices. I'll smoke some cigarettes. I love my sweets and stuff and everything like this. But for what all God's loved me through with a lot of worse things, I mean, I'm sure He'll convict me more to get in better shape and all this and that because this is the body, this is the temple. But
hey,
He'll look through some stuff to keep using me, and I mean, I believe that firmly.
right. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And
Because it's just out of respect for Him. It's just all the things I still need to give up. It would overwhelm me if I try to like start working out, eating right, giving up cigarettes, stop cussing. Like it's just God's still doing His thing in spite of all of that, and it's still I've never been like, wow, I'm just gonna do all this forever. It's just I believe in
yeah,
His timing. I'll be convicted to move in those areas, but I
absolutely.
mean, there's a lot of stuff
If,
you've shared with me that I feel the same way on. Two completely different lives. Um, but it's just an incredible story. I hope that somebody like you, with everything you do, and I'm going to check out your group. I don't know why I haven't done that yet. I'll be honest with you, but I'm going to check it out. I'd like to possibly join that. I would love to have you more involved in my group. There's tons of people that have these suicidal issues and stuff that I mean I talk to sometimes, but I don't know how equipped I am at that. Sometimes I'll avoid some certain conversations. You'd be somebody that would definitely be a big help um, in God-based recovery, and any support that we could lend to yours. I mean, consider it done.
well,
So I
it's a brotherhood, man. We're supposed to be on the same team, you know.
yeah. And I mean, I tell people, my guests, after I do these, it's not that I'm just having you on to share your testimony and then that's it. You'll be hearing from me. I'm gonna, hit you up on certain days, see how you're doing, and try to gain this brothership with you and this bond, because I think for the most part, God will put people in my path to connect and link, and so we grow and grow and grow. And I mess that up sometimes. I'm imperfect. I want certain things, or I think I need certain things from people, and they don't respond or act the way I think they should. And I'm learning to be more gracious and humble along the way. But you're somebody I think that I definitely would want, in my corner, and I'll offer you nothing but just truthfulness and stuff from the heart all along the way. That's an incredible story that you shared with us.
Thank you. Yeah,
Anything?
you'll only get truth from me, because I mean,
Anything else is a waste of time, isn't it?
and the thing is,
Um,
you start. You got to remember, I can't remember that. Yeah, I'm
any,
too old to get in trouble.
how, how old are you, by the way?
48. I'll be 49 in September. So
Oh,
yeah.
I'm close. I'm right. I'm coming up on 48 in March, so I'm right there with you. Any last words of encouragement or anything you want to tell any of the viewers? This will be posted and pinned up in the group section, so all the main probably views will come in the next week. But just anything else you want to say to everybody listening? And as I said in the beginning, I'll ask you to pray us out.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I like to tell people is forgiveness is still. You have to forgive everybody, but mainly yourself. And once you forgive yourself, I mean, that's the key to break chains. And once you can forgive and move past some things, forgiveness is for you, not the other person. And if I could go back and talk to my younger self, and I could only tell them one thing, I would tell them to get a Bible and keep it on you and read it as much as you can. And if you've read it 1,000 times, you have not read it enough. And that's the way to communicate directly with God and to hear Him the way that He wants you to hear Him. And just any issue that I have, go to that. And that needs to be my rock, my go-to all the time. I mean, I tell people that all the time. I can't convey enough how important it is just to read the scriptures. And I know, because I used to think the same thing. It's just words in a book, but it's not. And once you get in there and start reading, and you start understanding and feeling things, you'll understand it. And I tell people, it doesn't matter what situation you're going through. Even if, say, you're late on a car payment, and say, read the Bible, the answer's in there. Even though there's not a car payment section in the Bible, your faithfulness to pick it up and start reading it will trigger God's faithfulness to help you out in your situation, even though what you're reading doesn't pertain to your situation. You know what I'm saying? It's just open it and read it. It doesn't matter what you're reading. It's faithful enough to read it triggers His action to help you. So that's my closing thoughts and words on that.
That's awesome. Well, Korey, it's been an honor and pleasure, man. Like I said, I'm going to keep in touch with you for sure, and I hope you do the same. I know you're very busy, but that phone is a powerful weapon, because we can stay in touch and get caught up real quick. So
Absolutely.
thank you for doing this, and I ask you to pray
Thank
us
you.
out if you would.
Yes, sir. I will. Dear Lord, I just pray that you open the hearts and minds of anybody who's has seen this, or anybody that's struggling. Allow them to see this, and just allow them to reach out to somebody, me, anybody, any preacher, I mean, counselor, anybody who is willing to listen, Lord. And I pray that they seek you in all that they do, and keep you first in their life, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Whew. All right, brother. I appreciate you, man. Sounds like you got a busy household there, so I'll let you go and be with them. Thank you so much, man, and don't hesitate to hit me up, brother, for anything you need or anything you want to talk about. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And I thank you again for the opportunity. I'm sure somebody's going to get help, through our actions and
I
the
believe
willingness.
that. I
So
absolutely believe that.
yeah,
Korey
thank you very
Burris,
much.
everybody. Thanks, brother.
Yes, sir. Have a good day, man. Love you,
You
man.
too.
Have a good one.
You too. I love you.